In this video, I want to look at table.FuzzyJoin and its optional argument ConcurrentRequests. I have two tables with 1,000,000 rows that have the values 1 through 1,000,000 in ascending order, meaning they've been sorted. And then if we look at the documentation first for how to use the argument, you can see table.FuzzyNestedJoin. You can see you add the table, the key, the table, and the key as usual. And then because this is the nested join version, you have to add the nested table in a new column. We can add the join kind, and then we can add join options. And if we then scroll up, we can see you can include a record, which includes concurrent requests. And it simply says a number between 1 and 8, specifying number of parallel threads to use. The default is 1, but you can then set it to 8. And the word parallel makes me think that this has to do with your processor. And we'll be looking at what my task manager says for Power BI. But I think it means that basically if you increase this number, you tell Power BI it's allowed to use more of your processor, which will be faster, but it means you can't use your computer for other things. Meaning if you have, say, a robot computer doing your updates, you might want to set this to a higher number. But if you want to use your computer for other things, you can just set it to 1 or use the default. I also want to show that it isn't mentioned in the documentation, but if we try to do the function here, we say concurrent request 1, and if I say join kind left, we can see that this isn't allowed once it's done loading. Yeah, it says expression error, we don't support concurrent request for left outer, meaning you can use inner, but then you apply a filter on the tables, which you might not want to. So you can only specify concurrent request if you use another join kind. So I'm going to set this back to inner, and then I'm going to stop preview. Then I can start the preview for the version with concurrent request 1, which again is the standard. You can see my processor is happy, but it's going to take longer. You can cancel that. And then I've set concurrent request to the maximum value of 8. And then we should see in a moment that my processor starts being unhappy. And actually we can also say that we should enable load. And then I can just say close and apply. And then we can also see how much data it loads. So it should go up with processor, because when I was testing, I was sitting at 100% CPU. Okay, now it's getting started, meaning it has loaded the data and then it's using up basically my entire processor, which is also what I expect. If we then cancel it and I go in and I change which table I want to load, I'm not loading this one with concurrent request 8, I'm loading the one with 1. And then the processor should go down once it shut off the processes, which might take a bit. I rebooted Power BI just to get the processors to stop. We can now start again. We should see the processor go up, but not to 100%. We can see it's already loaded in the left table and it's now slowly loading in the right table, because the Excel file with both tables is about 15 point something megabytes, meaning it's slowly going through the right table. We can see that the processor is sitting at around 13%, and before, where concurrent request was set to 8, it was sitting at about 85%. Meaning, once again, if I want to maximize the speed of my update, I can set concurrent request to 8, which means that basically my entire processor is used on Power BI, or I can set it to a lower number. In my case, that might be something like a 5 or a 6, and then I can still use my computer, but not for something intensive. And now it's going up a bit, peaking at 24%, which is still significantly less than 86, but I can still use my computer for other stuff. So this is a matter of what do you want your computer to be used on. If you want to maximize speed and not be able to do anything else, then you can set concurrent request to a higher number, and you can play around with what number is acceptable based on speed of update and being able to use your computer. So